YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for yet another Last Cloudia unit showcase, and one that I am not excited to make at all. You can see behind me Knight Lord Kyle, the main character of the game. Before we even get into it, I do want to mention there will definitely be some soft spoiling from here on out relating to the lore behind Kyle, especially because of the most recent update notice that we got, and I'll probably be dropping this later, sometime next week compared to when I'm recording this. So if you want to avoid spoilers completely, now's your chance to click off the video. But with that warning out of the way, let's proceed. We got the announcement of Lenius jumping into the game, that maintenance will occur not tonight, but tomorrow night from when I'm recording this, but I'll probably post this video up, like I said, the following week. And I thought about Knight Lord Kyle for a couple of different reasons. We know that Knight Lord Kyle is an heir to Adel, the legendary figure who was the main character before we had the main character Kyle right here. And Lenius was like his partner in crime, his right hand, similar how Zekis is to Kyle. So why not take a look at the heir of Adel in honor of Lenius's best friend, and hopefully we will see Adel in the game in the near future, who knows when, but we do have Sarah, obviously we have DB Ray, Lagerboss, and now Lenius in the game. I think the only one left to drop is Adel from that 5-man team those years ago. But without further ado, let's do what we do with these 5-star showcases and give Kyle the proper respect, right? He's an acclaimed Triple S guild member in the story, so I mean, he must be incredibly good, right? I just realized I forgot to turn on sound for the game, but we can see Knight Lord Kyle's ward is fire damage taken -1%, so if that just tells you anything about how this unit is going to be. But you can see we've got him at level 110. I pulled the trigger on boosting him up. We have him 120 out of 120 board, 4th Awakened, and 92 SC to play with. Gonna check, yeah, I don't have any extra prisms for him. He is a knight typing, which is very appropriate as a Knight Lord, right? Looking at his stat spread, he's got a very nice HP based stat and nice STR and heightened defense, I would say. Nothing crazy, nothing compared to the tanks we know nowadays, but definitely skewed for the I'd say Bruiser look when we're checking out these stats. Attribute resistance is 10 resistance to fire, 20 to earth, 5 to light, 15 to dark, and then a very heavy weakness to ice, similar to as we just saw with Shift Eliza's showcase. Ailment resistances, he is neutral to poison. He does have +1 resistance to blind, neutral to silence. He's weak to curse, which is not what we like to see on physical DPS, because obviously we can see he's got a big old sword in his hand. He does have +1 resistance to stun though, which is nice, and nil to illness, so you don't have to worry too much about him getting blocked from healing, which is nice. Moving over to the abilities, we have his S1 Kaiser Edge frontal long range fire combo attack. It's one of those nice attacks that just like shoots a persisting fire attack in any direction. Skill 2 is Flash Burst, frontal medium area fire combo attack that launches enemies into the air and chance to lower fire resistance. So not going to complain with some fire resistance lowering in his S2. And his skill 3, Shining Nova, instantly close the gap for a medium area fire combo attack that launches enemies into the air. Changes to light if enemy light resistance is lower. I'm just going to tell you right now, horrible mechanic, very outdated, and luckily Adel has stopped doing this kind of thing, I think. Well, no, since Summer Alice, which was still last year, kind of close to Knight Lord Kyle's release. But we don't see this effect much anymore. I hope that's not a coincidence, because it just does not work for the majority of units that have something like this. His special is Final Braver, powerful fire combo attack against an enemy, single target, and changes to light if enemy's light resistance is lower. Thumbs down, really bad. Before we even move, well, no, we'll move into the traits just to finish talking about what this guy's got going on. Looking at that trait 1, Heir of Adel. Won't flinch from fire and dark magical attacks. Whenever unit or allies are near death, fire attack damage plus 6% and damage cap plus 1500, up to 10 times. This is one of the worst aging traits, I would say, in the entire game, especially since this is after the 5-star buff. Speaking of just badly aging, all of Kyle is basically just a horribly aged kit in today's Last Cloudia. So anyone who starts with Kyle, or if you've read a guide or someone told you Shift Kyle is a good unit to start with, you have been lied to. I'm just going to tell you right here. But let's move on to the trait 2, Night Lord. Battle start HP cap plus 2500 and plus 1500 more in boss battles. When an ally takes lethal damage, allies get 1 HP and barrier equal to unit HP. This happens 2 times per wave, and that barrier ends when the unit dies. This is also just this did not age, or it was also not designed well from the start, I would say. While in theory the barrier sounds really cool, it sounds like Night Lord Kyle has this cool team support. Whatever ally is taking lethal damage will adopt a shield that's equal to Kyle's HP at that point in time. So if your team is getting hit with like some kind of AoE attack and Kyle is down to, let's say, 200 HP, the unit that's about to get killed only gets a barrier with 200 HP. So they're basically dead at the same time that they get this barrier. So it unfortunately does not work, I would say, the way that they should have made it. They should have made it just so that unit gets Kyle's HP cap as a barrier. That would have aged much better over time and made him an actual, given him an actual nice niche use. However, they decided not to do that, and it really shows in this unit's performance. But there you go. Based off the traits, you could tell they got this weird near death up to 10 times damage boosting thing going on with Kyle, and then that, you know, that's his DPS portion, and then his trait 2 is supposed to be his tank or his bruiser portion, giving him more HP and then trying to give this barrier to the rest of the team. Let's look at his innate skills we have equipped. He does come with a charisma, all allies HP cap plus 1500, which is fine, and then regular attack damage plus 10%. Ugh, just gross and yucky. If this would have been physical attack damage plus 10%, we would be talking something significant, but regular attack damage, I don't know who designed this guy's kit as the main shift character of the whole game. Passive skills, we have Fighting Spirit 3, Fighting Spirit 5, given STR and HP. Critical up 2 and 3. I mean, nice that he has the expensive crit skills in his package. Advanced Aim Vitals for extra crit power. Proud Force comes innately. Royal Armor reduces chance of receiving critical hits. We're starting to see some of his damage mitigation here. Divinity Slayer. I mean, you can't complain when a unit comes with any kind of group Slayer. This will be 4 out of the 16 typings, as we can see. But no special boost. That'll definitely be part of building him out. Night Zone. More likely to be attacked. Frontal physical attack damage plus 10%. And frontal physical damage taken minus 10%. In theory, it's supposed to be he's alluring enemies to him and he fights them face to face, and that gives him a boost. Auto Protection. Continuous minus 20% to physical damage. Auto Critical. Nice that he comes with crits. You can also start to tell that they want you doing crits with him, as we'll see with other skills in his package. Auto Haste, nice 25% SCT. Recovery Speed, Patience 2, Close to Death, Defense plus 30%. Pride at max HP, STR plus 20%. Fire High Drive, Fire Physical Attack and Special Damage plus 30%. Fire Attack Raise and Fire Attack Raise 2, giving also damage mods to his fire damage overall, right? That's going to affect his physical and special damage. And you might be saying, oh, these look like good damage mods. It's not enough, believe me. Blessed Speed, boost movement speed, so fine that he comes with that innately. Chivalrous Mindset Sword, this is an okay skill to have, definitely nothing too impactful. Double Impact, regular attacks deal extra damage. Meteor Force, regular attacks get a powerful light extra attack, and all extra attacks deal 1.5 times damage. Again, the fact that impacts are tied to normal attacks is what makes them god-awful. Just horrible, not useful. This multiplier does absolutely nothing for our boy Kyle here. Instant Strike. Here we go. When equipped with a single weapon, physical attack crits have a chance for damage plus 150% and damage cap plus 15,000. This is that skill that we saw intertwined with Balin's Mystic Favored Sword, which boosted Favored Sword as well as added this exact effect to it. Again, it's just not significant. At the time of Shift Kyle's release, it was cool when this would activate because it was unique at that time, and you would see a giant jump in the damage cap for a single crit hit. But now, again, it has aged horribly. Aged absolutely horribly. Doppelhander, when only one weapon is equipped, is one sword. Physical attack damage plus 20%, crit rate plus 10%, physical attack damage cap plus 5,000. So nice that he comes with that innately, but again, does not make one bit of difference. Sword boost when sword is equipped, physical attack damage plus 10%. Giant killing, giving that 20% to bosses for skills and specials. And Hero's Wings, break time plus 50% for enemies put into break by unit. Now, this is the skill that we think about when Joker dropped, right? And he has the same kind of effect on one of his unique skills, but while Kyle may have better break than Joker, he definitely doesn't have any break to brag about. So again, another unit that has this, when they put enemies into break, they get this boosted time, but can't really break reliably at all. If you use him and you think, oh, I think his break is good, trust me, it's not when you compare him to actual breakers in this game. So just so many wasted and missed opportunities with this guy. I think, unfortunately, he was just designed right before the game entered a new level of power creep and a new way of designing units-based kits, which just left him at the bottom of the gutter now in today's Last Cloudia unit standards. And we will see why in his kit. They want you to run him single-wield with things like Doppelhander and Instant Strike, but then he doesn't have what we've come to learn actually works for single-wielders, and that's big monstrous damage boosts and cap when the unit is single-wielding. Like his Heir of Adel trait, that's not locked to single-wield. So if you want to run Kyle and do any comparable damage with him, you have to run him as a dual-wield unit. So he's already losing some of his single-wield incentives. And then he's also an extremely subpar dual-wield DPS. So he's not even competing when you're running him at his max DPS potential. And talk about a failed Bruiser. He doesn't even have the tanking capabilities of someone like Granados. And I think Granados ends up with a higher overall damage output as a single-wielding tank, let alone Night Lord Kyle barely passing as a Bruiser. So I could go on and on about how salty I am about how bad this guy is, but unfortunately I think he was just designed in an era that did not favor him at all, and his age has shown a lot more than a lot of other units that we look at. But we're going to try and salvage something. Is he usable in some places if you're brand new? Maybe. But I think overall, I'll just give you my thoughts now. Investing resources into him as an early game player is an absolute waste of time. So we'll go ahead and make some builds for him, see what we can accomplish, and make our final judgment on Night Lord Kyle. So here we go. Into the Shift Kyle showcase, we changed it up a lot for this one. You can see we're taking on one of the end of story bosses, I should say. And what you're seeing here is the old cheesing mechanic to unlock Night Lord Kyle's trait, all of his damage cap, by using the SR Arc Altar of the Forbidden Book and Tyria healing. Casting a spell drains her health, and then she has the innate skill Auto Heal, which then brings her health back up when she hits a low HP threshold. So you can see I spend the ridiculous amount of time to do it, and lo and behold, I don't know if they soft patched it, but it does not work with Shift Kyle anymore. So the first showcases I made with him, he was able to take advantage of this. Now, evidently, he is not. Tweaks, I know, tested it as well and found the same thing. So this is a completely pointless strategy if for some reason you feel like building Shift Kyle. So here, I didn't decide to do any dual wield builds in this video. I decided with all of the single wield buffs that we've gotten with Shift Bayland and the arc that released with Shift Roland, a favored sword being teachable, and the fact that I have those acquired, I said, why not give his single wielding design a shot? And as you can see, the performance is just pretty laughable. I think he maybe could have been salvaged somewhat in today's game if he had super armor like Shift Roland, but we did get some units' health dropped a bit and then recovered naturally. And you can see his damage cap has gone up from 35k to 38k, so that's how we know for sure that the auto heal did not work. The auto heal cheese didn't work for his trait. And this fight, I sped it up, I think, by a certain amount, and it still just took ages. We did get up to, you can see 40, what is that, 2,000, 44,000. So he was able to build up a bit naturally, but 17 million health in today's game is not that much, and it's just pretty despicable. It's pretty despicable how Kyle performs here. Getting flinched is just very, very tough, and this is not something I would ever recommend anyone running, building Kyle, and then trying to take advantage of single wield. I mean, just to note, right, the things that I have on him to try to make him viable here, damage-wise, are extremely limited, right? It's an entire character, Shift Bayland's Charisma, who I gave Elder King Mass to, so Bayland wouldn't just start spamming skills and steal the entire show. On top of that, a UR arc with teachable favored sword. It's just not realistic for free-to-play players, and with this performance being as bad as it is, it can only get worse without the limited stuff. So, still wanted to go through with it, see what Kyle could do, how long it would take him. With this match being sped up, I mean, it still took way too long than it would have taken with any other character. Moving on into a second showcase, and where I think Kyle can have a bit of niche use. That is as a sub-tank to one of the main tanks of the game. Ruto being a fantastic PvE boss nuking tank. And then you have, of course, Shift Gorm as options. Granados is a third option I think of. But here you go. Here's what I wanted to showcase. Kyle with that HP barrier, coupled with Ruto here, is a pretty solid defensive comp, because you have Ruto absorbing all of the team's AoE damage that they take, which includes the special that we just saw Leva launch right there. And as long as Ruto can keep damage mitigated pretty heavily on Kyle, Kyle's HP barrier can be somewhat useful, especially since Ruto's taking extra damage and subsidizing the damage taken from the rest of the team. He can adopt that HP barrier, which results in a very nice tanking strategy. Here's another AoE special, I think, from Leva, where we haven't had any units hit 1 HP yet to see the HP barrier actually activate. But you can see that we're in a very safe zone, and what I wanted to prove with this showcase is just that we were able to manage a no-death run on this first wave of Vaahs, right? Which is definitely, there's definitely many more ways to do this. This is not like the only way, but it is a practical use that I found, and so decided to put it in the showcase, share it as a build. And of course, you can find all of these in the Buddha Gang Discord if you're interested, right? This is more of a showcase for people, maybe free-to-play players who are lacking certain top-tier characters, and they have time, they have resources built up, they want to build out a unit, and they have a Shift Kyle. Where can we use Shift Kyle in today's game? This is where I would recommend, right, as a sub-tank to your other tank, and try and find a way to mix and mingle their the HP barrier with the other units' tanking abilities. So here we go. We were able to just survive everything. I don't think any unit got close to hitting 1 HP, but you saw that we were in a very comfortable position, which in that case I feel Shift Kyle did his job. But moving on to the final event that we're going to be checking out, Shift Kyle in Arena. While this was kind of his staple upon first release and a few months after, he has been quickly power crept in Arena immensely in today's meta standards. But I decided to bust him out, see what we could manage here. You can see in this fight, Tyria is able to survive on that 1 HP because Kyle was able to eat that S3 from Loug Zeus and provide Tyria with a nice HP barrier, allowing her to gain some MP and then start recovering the entire team. This is an auto magic Maja team, right? So this is a team comp that you can put together, put on auto, start battles, and then just walk away and go do other things that you need to do IRL, right? And it should get the job for you done most of the time. I think there are a few situations where you can get clipped and probably some defensive comps that can really bully the one that we're seeing here. However, from the multitude of arena fights that I did with this little team, I was able to get wins, I think, the majority of the time. So we did see Tyria go down there, right? So, I mean, Kyle's barrier looked okay in that first exchange, but then quickly became irrelevant. Speaking of his irrelevancy in Arena and just how badly aged that HP barrier is, moving into this second Arena fight, I wanted to include this because while we're going to get the job done, we're going to get the W, we just get absolutely bullied. And, you know, I'm always open to feedback for especially veterans that maybe use Kyle, which I don't think that exists. I mean, you see him just get absolutely murdered by frickin' Shift Rimuru right there. You can tell me if there are certain things in my Arena build for Kyle that just aren't probably working. They're not as efficient as I want them to be, but this is my experience. Because Kyle was designed to be a bruiser with this weird mix of a lot of HP, and you'll want to play off his HP, but then he has crit and damage mods built into him. He just doesn't have the innate passives and skills in order to handle what's needed in today's Arena meta to do any significant form of tanking, right? The idea here would be that he's a sub-tank again to Shift Gorm. Ideally, you would want the enemies to go after Shift Gorm, and then Kyle would give Gorm this barrier if needed, or any of the other party members if needed. But the problem is, because Kyle is a up-close range unit, he just runs into the enemy's faces, so he's going to be in the line of fire regardless of where the tank is. I even built him to not use his skills with giving him Elder King Mask here, because I was noticing upon initial Arena testing that he was, you know, launching an S3, which puts him up in the air, but then other enemy units would just clip him out. And if you know anything about the guard package, if a unit is in the air, if they're not on the ground, it immediately takes away their potential to guard. So he having a guarding package in that state was just quite pointless. And now that I'm talking about it, maybe if I took away the guard package SC and just pumped that into more damage mitigating effects, I wouldn't have to do this weird Elder King mask workaround to this weakness that I found. But you can see this is a very close match. It's going the distance, which is never what you want in Arena. I mean, I'm willing to sacrifice time whenever we have a full auto team because, you know, right now I'd be washing the dishes or freaking taking the trash out. I don't know. But it's definitely painful to go back and watch. Not to mention, spell render teams, especially Astral Ray Maja, is tough in today's Arena climate because everyone is running spell render for the most part, which gives a chance for magic to miss. I think it's like a 40% chance for magic to miss, and Astral Ray is a one-hitter quitter. So if you miss it, you know, you're a lost cause. But I think we're able to get the win at literally the last second here. That Astral Ray connects. So apologies, Eat Dog. I mean, you got the last laugh because it took that long. But that's going to wrap up the showcases for our boy Kyle. And back to the conclusion. Don't ask me who wanted this video, but it did occur to me that Shift Kyle is the main character of the story, and with all of the recent single-wield buffs that we got, teachable favored sword, along with the UR arc that it comes on, coupled with Balin's new trait, I figured, you know what, let's test the waters. And what is the conclusion? Basically the same as the hypothesis. Kyle is just a horribly outdated unit. If I had to think of something similar, comparable to, he reminds me a lot of Barcelo, right? They're both fire type damage dealers. Barcelo, you have to wait like 3 minutes before activating all of his damage, and then it's actually pretty nice. Kyle's is still not even anything crazy once you wait out the 10 boosts to his trait activating. He's just got so many flaws, and it's a real shame because, I mean, you would want him to be the beast that he looks like he is in all of story, but yet he just is not, does not meet the mark. I mean, I think we're all just waiting for his ancestor Adel to come from the heavens and bestow us with a meta version of what Shift Kyle should have been for Last Cloudia. Overall, we just got Lennius. Today's the day I actually filmed the reveal unit info for him, so you guys will see this much later, I think. But there we go. Shift Kyle revisited. What did we find? That he's unfortunately as bad as I expected him to be. And again, I am just reinforced now than ever to never waste your mats. If anyone's asking, I got Shift Kyle as an off-banner deal. Wait, should I build him? You guys saw the very niche scenarios that I think or feel he'll still find some bit of use, but even then it requires extensive building, more work than is really necessary compared to the plethora of roster that we have in today's game. So I think I'm going to wrap up the video there, and very curious to see what you guys think. Very curious to see how this video is going to do, how many people actually care and want to know about Shift Kyle revisited in today's climate. Like, subscribe, bell noties if you're new, turn on all noties so you know when I post and you know when I return from this vacation. Your boy Buddha is spending some quality time with Lady Buddha in her hometown, so we're excited. I'm sure we're having a great time. And with all that being said, y'all know what we say: work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.